I'm between you and the food and alcohol outside, so we'll make this very quick. Are there any members of the SC Squared team here in the audience? Say hello to the SMU hacking group. 2 years ago, a member of this team was requested by the San Francisco Federal Reserve to test their new ID management system. The student programmed the temperature sensor in the building to believe that the building was on fire, and the doors opened and he walked right in. The temperature sensor belongs to a class of devices commonly known as the Internet of Things. They have permeated in every aspect of our daily life and industry, be it transportation, medical, or defense. The growth is explosive. Everything that can be connected to the internet is being connected to the internet. And for a few dollars, you can add some electronics and sensors and make a passive object into a smart object. For example, your refrigerator or even your shoes, Adidas. The market is in trillions of dollars today and growing explosively. Why is this market growing so fast? The reason is that the data that is being collected by IoT networks is spurring transformational improvements across industries. I will give you an example of jet engines. Earlier, jet engines used to be taken offline, very regular maintenance schedule. Today, they are overloaded with sensors, they provide a real-time health check, and they are serviced only when they need to be. That's a huge impact to the bottom line of that line of business. The ubiquity, enormous volume, and low security of IoT networks makes this a hacker's paradise. They can have national security implications. They can have personal security implications. And they can paralyze a nation if the critical infrastructure of the nation is attacked by hackers. Last year, in October, while we were busy with elections, attackers used IoT networks to bring down the internet. Let's get down to the nuts and guts of this stuff. IoT data comprises of two parts: the metadata, which is like an envelope, and the data, which is like the letter that goes inside the envelope. While your data might be secure inside the envelope, the metadata is open for everyone to see. Hackers target this metadata to attack in a variety of ways. For example, they can misdirect the data by changing the address. They can attack the sender or the receiver because their addresses are visible. And sometimes they can use the metadata to go inside and find out what's in the data. Enter the Zonta, as I say. In Zonta, we have addressed this glaring vulnerability by encrypting the metadata. What we do is we completely encrypt the metadata, and we call it black networks. We call it black networks because we blacken the metadata, and that becomes undecipherable to the attacker. All IoT networks require gateways to manage the network. In our particular case, the Zonta gateway is going to secure the traffic by encrypting the metadata and the data. So far, so good. IoT vulnerability is a growing concern, and it is a subject of intense focus. There are many established players in the market, but these established players, they have their own gateways, they have their own security solutions. However, their solutions are tailored more for traditional IT networks and not for IoT networks. And this is where Zonta has its key strength and unique value proposition. Zonta has developed a security solution specifically purpose-built for IoT networks with the IoT network characteristics in mind, such as resource-constrained nodes, sleep times, and extremely cheap nodes. When we look at the startups in this space, we find that our approach to black networks is unique in its simplicity, in its effectiveness, and in its economic appeal. Once again, the market is still growing in billions of dollars. We want to be a part of this market. However, I reiterate again, majority of the solutions that are coming out of companies are amenable to traditional IT networks and do not consider IoT networks, characteristics of IoT networks. But we still want a portion of this business. So we have a go-to-market in 6 areas. For the government, medical, and smart cities, we will provide Zonta gateways like you saw before. Those will be positioned for securing the traffic. For enterprise, homes, and industrial, there is a plethora of existing gateways that are already in the market, and we will license our software to get on those specific gateways and generate revenue that way. Our financial statements for the next few years, we aim to be profitable in year 2, and we also have very low general and administrative costs. I got to talk to my finance guy about that. But these are extremely conservative estimates, given the market size that you saw, but this is what you get when you have 4 guys, and this is our vision so far when we sit in the engineering department. Our ask today, we are asking for $500,000. We will primarily use it for product development and for market-facing activities such as business alliances, sales, and marketing. The co-founders of Zonta have invested $100,000 in the venture. These are some of our high-level goals for the rest of the year. Our leadership has deep bench strength. Myself, I'm a returning executive, and I'm doing my PhD here. And my PhD is in IoT security, specifically with black networks. My partner in crime is my advisor. He's a serial startup and one of the world's foremost experts in RFID security. Mr. Ramesh is a former State Department Foreign Services diplomat whose expertise is in securing the strategic assets of a nation. All of us have global expertise. I would like to conclude by asking our VCs to join us in protecting the intellectual capital of the nation. It is being obsessively stolen every day. I would also ask you to join us to protect the critical infrastructure of the nation and get a profit in the process. Thank you.
So at this point, do you have a minimum viable product? Do you have a product that's actually out there that's been tested, or is this merely in an idea phase? Just kind of where are you in terms of product development and actual product testing?
Good question. We have the concept right now. We are in the process of developing the proof of concept. We have 2 quarters that we have targeted to develop the proof of concept. Right now, we are just on paper so far, but we do have the proof of concept target.
A couple things. Will your technology route through traditional IP networks?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
They are compatible with all IoT protocols today.
Okay. And could you use VPN as an alternative here?
Again, VPN is an alternative. However, VPN is for traditional IT networks. So we are building in the security into the communications by.
Okay. So then if it routes through traditional networks and you're building the capability, and why wouldn't then a semiconductor manufacturer or a communication subsystem manufacturer just build the encryption algorithm right into the chip itself?
And that would be our software. That's the software I'm talking about putting into the gateway.
So
we would develop the stack.
So ARM manufacturers and such.
We would partner with them. Yes,
okay.
Sir. They can put it on the chip stack. Yes.
Okay. Does this need to be released as a open standard, interface in order for it to become widely adopted?
Standards are a long timeline.
Right.
They're a very long timeline, and we have competing companies, always in standards groups, and I have been in several standards bodies. So they're not necessarily the best technology, but they are the representative technology of the standards body members. So if we had to do that, it would be a long lead time. We would lose our advantage in the market.
So your key then is, for success here, is to find a semiconductor manufacturer that's willing to take your software and put it into the firmware of the chip itself. Is that fair?
Or we are planning to build our own gateway. So our proof of concept would be our own gateway. It could be Bluetooth Low Energy, it could be Zigbee, it could be any of those IoT protocols. In fact, our paper on Bluetooth Low Energy, black networks for Bluetooth Low Energy, got the best paper award last year at the CES. So we feel that there is, and we have 4 multiple publications. So we feel that.
So thank you for your presentation.
Thank you.
Most startups are usually in a race against time or capital,
Yes, sir.
or sometimes both. So since you're in product phase, what is your date of a minimally viable product? And then what would be the date of a launch? So with your $500,000 ask, how long does that money last? What's your burn rate? Like, how far does this get you until the next round?
You know, I had put the burn rate actually in this slide, and then I took it out because it was too wordy. So it was. So these are our plans for the rest of the year. Our, we are targeting 2 quarters for our minimal viable product, and we are planning to start POC end and product development start by 4Q. But our POC should be a significant portion of our product, of our first release of the product, which is a star network, not a mesh network. So, those are the timelines. Does that answer your question?
So he actually asked part of my question. And when I read your plan, you actually asked a little bit more in the
Yes,
plan.
ma'am.
It was like 1.1 million. And so I'm surprised
Yes.
to see 500 because I wasn't quite sure 1.1 was even enough to get you to market and scale. So let's talk about that.
Yes, ma'am. The reason we had 1.1 before, we were actually including the first 2 years' costs together. And therefore, we came up with that 1.1 number. And then when we vetted this idea with other advisors of ours, one of them is in the back of the room, Dr. Ramsey. They told us, why would we give you 2 years of money when we first want to give you 1 year of money and see how you use it and where you get to it? So we scaled that down to, 2017 expenses.
I'm not quite sure that's going to be enough to get you to the milestones that you're going to need to take it to a Series A where VCs will want to invest beyond just the seed round here.
So the numbers you are saying are small.
Yeah, to get you to your goal of, I want to see an MVP and I might want to see a couple more customers and some use cases before I would, as a VC, invest. I'm not a VC, I'm a banker, but the clients I work with would want to see more, I think. So
Okay.
Ed could probably tell you more.
Yeah, she's exactly right.
Okay.
Looking at your chart, I think it popped up on one of the other slides where it showed your proof of concept finishing, I think, in Q4 of 2017.
Yes.
If you have the architecture laid out
Yes, sir.
with you and your team,
Yes.
you understand what the problems are you're solving, and you've drilled down enough to know that you have the talent and expertise to go build it.
Yes, sir.
Why the hell is it taking that long?
For proof of concept, because
I mean, you really got to be going right after the development of the product right now, right?
Okay.
So what are you trying to prove you can do it? Or are you actually trying to, so if you know you can do it,
yes,
go do it. Don't screw around with a proof of concept.
Okay.
Really, seriously, that's the only way you're going to get there in an amount of time.
Okay.
This is a race. It's a huge problem. It's something everybody is paying attention to. You probably have got to get in and start talking with ARM silicon vendors like right now to prove that your architecture is probably better than what they're looking at internally even or with other companies. This is all-out effort to try to make this happen, which goes back to the amount of money you need to raise. You've got to have a whole lot of much more emphasis on the biz dev side, working with the semiconductor manufacturers, working with the communications guys, getting a momentum built around what your approach and your architecture is, and you've got to brand it somehow. You've got to give it a name so people know what you're doing and can apply it to different segments of the communication systems industry. So this is an enormous effort that it would take to really be successful here, both on development and on marketing and on biz dev.
Okay, because yes, we felt that our proof of concept needed to come first so that we can at least show people that the ideas that we are talking about, and that would be a significant portion of our first release. But I see your point.
First product has got to be your minimal viable product that you're ready to go pitch to somebody and say, we're ready to get this installed in your solution and integrated like next week.
Well, thank you, sir, for your feedback.